can't believe we're still talking about this. You just won't stop. It just over and over and over the same stuff. This is ridiculous. I'm just sick of it. Just want some peace and quiet. Gee whiz. I said I was done. You keep talking about. You keep cutting me. I'm done. I'm watching the news. Let it go. Just keep going.
Specific parameter. And key trade partner.
But people do know the leaders exist now.
You know, there's a saying that says anything worth having is worth fighting for. I get it. You don't get into a relationship just to get out of a relationship. So you want to try to hold on. But if all you're doing is fighting, what do you really have? What are you holding on to? Today we're going to talk about 3 steps to get past an impasse. I hope we got some stuff that's going to help you out. Stay with us. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
But it's who I am. And so he had to learn how to say, this is how my wife thinks. And I had to learn how to say, this is how my husband thinks.
I think that the fire in the relationship, in the marital relationship, has to consist of maintaining and never losing the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
If you got stinky people, then you don't want to be around them.
You don't want to be around stinky people.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Because that's what you're going to smell.
Because you what you're going to smell. And 9 times out of 10, if the attitude is bad, it's a stinky person.
Hey, and welcome to the More Marriage Moment. We're so glad you're here today with us. How'd you like the introduction?
Wow. That's all I can say is wow.
She wasn't privileged to the introduction this week.
Yeah,
so
no.
That was a surprise.
No. So, yeah. Wong. Is that what that was?
That's not how you sound, though, baby.
No, okay.
That's not how you
making
sound.
sure, like, what in the name? But okay, we'll take it.
Today we're going to be talking about 3 steps to get past an impasse. And
yes.
Hopefully we can help a few people here. Marriage, we've said since the beginning, is work.
It is work.
Oh, I forgot. I'm Ed Moore, and this is my wife, Renee.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
So there's all the formalities. We
Oh,
said
my
who
God.
we were, so now you know who we are. But we've said from the beginning of this that marriage is work, and if you're going to have a successful or a long-term marriage, it's going to cause for both parties to do the work.
Do the work.
And it's hard to do the work when you seem to be in gridlock or stuck all the time, and everything's an issue, and everything's an argument, and everything's dramatic, and everything,
Oh, in reality, it really isn't all of the time an issue.
Right. I think sometimes we make things issues that really aren't issues.
Yeah, so. But, it happens in relationship, and it really happens with the people that you care for the most, or care about the most, I will say. Care about the most, that sometimes you and they, or you allow yourself to become so locked in that you don't want to let the grip go first. You want to hold out. So it's not impossible. This is what I know, is that it's not impossible to get through. So we want to come and we just kind of want to support because we understand misunderstandings happen all of the time.
They happen all the time.
Disagreements happen all of the time. But the other thing that happens all of the time has to be compromise. So
We're going to talk about 3 steps.
3 steps
To get past an impasse.
Yeah.
So, you want to get right into step number 1, or did you have some more to say? I wanted to throw that up there real quick.
Go ahead. You're good, baby. You're good. Listen, he working his stuff over here. So, but we're here and we're gonna get started. I was trying to recall, like, if we ever had like a major impasse that we ever had.
I don't think in our situation, it's the thing where, we have these periods where we fall out, argue, whatever, and then, we not talking, we not, the way I'm wired.
He's wired.
The way I'm wired, I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
And then
I'm done.
And then he's done.
I'm over it.
I
don't have
had
say
to learn.
else.
And the funny part was I had to learn to appreciate that when he says what he says, then he's done. Because I'm like, wait, I ain't done. Come back. Let's go. See what happens. But we decided a long time ago at the table of negotiation that if we wanted drama, we would go see a play.
Yeah, we don't believe in drama.
We don't believe in that, and so that has really held up in our relationship. And so we can be honest and say that there have been times that we did not agree with one another. And if I'm honest, it would probably be more involving the children than anything else.
My Lord. Yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't really find nothing major like we just gridlocked on.
Yeah, no, I don't think we, in our almost 22 years of marriage, I don't think that we really had anything that was so detrimental or serious that caused friction where we were like I said, gridlocked.
Yeah.
I don't think there was really anything that we ever. And again, one of the things, and I've mentioned this before, I was looking for in a wife as a strong black woman who knew how to hold her own, but was able to be submitted to her husband. And I got more than that. My wife is a thinker. She processes well, and at the end of the day, whatever we say, we might have some differences of opinions, but she's going to let the man lead the house.
And if y'all know my husband is, I call him, anybody that knows me from early on in marriage, I call him spontaneous and crazy. Like, he gets a thought and he's like off and running. So we have to tell you the story about when we moved in our first home, and 30 days later, he was like, we're moving. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? But I didn't even know that he had gone and found another house, and we were signing the papers. And I was like, what? So he's spontaneous.
Right. She hadn't even seen the house. So we signed the papers for the house.
I hadn't seen the house. So I've grown accustomed to his style. And even how he deals with conflict, and
that's important.
Yeah,
you have to get to know each other's style.
Yeah,
and that was a great choice of words. And style encompasses more than just your clothes.
Oh my God, yeah.
You have to know how each other moves. You got to learn how to be in sync.
Sync,
like dancing.
Yeah, but I had to learn that because my past, where I came from, we are, my family members, we are fighters, natural fighters. And so an argument was nothing, and you can stay in an argument for days. I'm serious, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't. I know your family. Oh God, you know what? Lord help him and bless him, Jesus. But, so learning how to, my style was, oh, you want to do this? Let's do this. You know what I mean? And so your style and your family style was totally different from mine. It was like, y'all said what y'all said, and then it was, boom, it's done. Y'all walk away and do something different.
I'm okay. And we done with this.
We done, and that's your favorite. Is we
finished or is we done?
And that's his favorite word. We done with this, right? And I'm like, no, we ain't done. And so I learned early in the relationship that I had to learn how to match his energy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that we learn from one another. One person might be more argumentative than the other. And if you're going to walk the journey together, you got to be willing to match energies at some point in time. And that means learning how to compromise, even in arguments and even at, an impasse. And so it has been a great lesson for me from the moment of saying I do, to learn how to get to the point to process, to stop, to be quiet, so it became a progression of growth for me.
One of the things that my wife put into practice, and she talks about this to the couples and to people, she has a 48-hour rule.
48 hours. What?
And so,
Man,
the first couple times where we might have had, some differences of opinions, and she went into this thing where she just didn't say nothing. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Because he was done and over with. I was still processing my emotions.
And it was processing.
Yeah.
It wasn't, she didn't walk around slamming doors or throwing stuff and nothing like that. She just withdraws and she's quiet.
I have to process. And the funny part was learning to get to that 48 hours. And I utilize this principle in every area of my life, just about in my work, in my personal relationships, in my marriage, and even in dealing with my children, natural and spiritual. Because you have to come to the realization that you are just not going to agree. And so I had to put into practice what 48 hours look like. And that was a moment for me. If I'm honest, I really took this from scripture. I don't want to make it churchy, but I really practice that principle from scripture because the Bible teaches us that Jesus withdrew himself. And that was a moment where he stood back and he had to take a look at what his assignment and his purpose was. And so for me, that 48 hours is taking a step back, withdrawing myself. And that means I have to get in tune with my emotions, what my feelings are telling me, because believe it or not, your feelings will lie to you.
Your feelings will lie
to you. And so those 48 hours allows me to take a moment back to breathe, to kind of check my emotions, to even check my words, because I never want to speak words to him who I intentionally love, to speak words to him that will cause harm to his heart. Because you can't get those words back. You can't, it's like feathers being pulled out of a pillow and you're trying to collect. You'll never collect that. And so sometimes in anger, when you don't stop to think what you're saying, you have the propensity to put a dagger in a place where it should never go.
Yeah.
And so, and I know my mouth. I had to know me. I know my caliber. You know what I mean? And I know I'll never have to hit you with my hands, but my words can do a lot of damage. And so there was no way for me as the wife, his praying wife, who is constantly praying for a strong mind and a healthy heart, to be the one to cause damage to those things that I'm praying for.
Right.
And so that 48 hours of principle for me was to check me. Somebody ought to say, you got to check yourself first before you try to check them.
There you go. Check you before you try to check them. Yeah. That's good.
So you got to check yourself. Hours. And so that 48 hours is, I'm not nasty. I'm not mean. I call it put a pin in it. You know what I mean? Let me put a pin in it. And then if we need to revisit it, then it's okay. Because the truth is, upon return, things begin to look differently than when you first engaged. Our problem is it looks good at the engagement and then it's like, oh my God, but then you take a step back and you realize that it was more toxic for you than anything. So upon return, it gave me the ability to find out where I missed the mark, where I had fallen short. It gives me the ability to even take a look at his perception, because the truth is there are two sides of perspectives that are coming to the table in an impasse.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that either perspective is wrong.
That's right. We were talking about that actually the other day. And I guess that's the next point. We're moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're both right. So you can't be so concrete. You can't be so solid in your opinion that you just totally block out, totally drown out, totally don't hear what your spouse is saying.
Yeah.
You've got to be an active listener.
Woo.
An active listener.
And it takes work to be an active listener. The majority of the time, we listen to have comment. And just because, and there's some moments when he can say, "What do you have to say?" And I honestly will say, "I really don't have anything to say at this moment," because I need to be intentional to not only hear what his mouth is saying, but what is his heart speaking.
That's good.
Because we can. Hey,
Girl, you deep.
I'm the product of your intelligence. Yes,
boy.
yeah. And so, I want to know his heart. I don't want to just hear the words to respond to him, but I want to know his heart, because if this is connected to the passion of his heart, then I have a responsibility within my own womb to carry his vision to manifestation.
Well, you just can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. I be trying. I can't help myself. And so the point is, I have I'm called to be his helpmate.
Right.
And I can't help him if I'm doing the opposite of destroying him, with not being in tune to his heart, but listening to respond so that I can destroy the words that he speaks by tearing up his heart. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. So, and it is really a point where we understand that when we come to an impasse, that one of us, sometimes both of us, have got to be willing to become sacrificial for the other, or
because
for
like
it all.
I said, at the end of the day, a decision has to be made.
Yes.
And and
I always say, this is my always answer: whatever you decide, baby.
Whatever you decide, baby.
Because the ultimate decision, I understand I have a place to share my thoughts and my process and my hearts to it, but I also understand being willing to follow him as you follow God. So, and I don't want to be churchy, but there comes a point when you got to let the man be the man, and you got to have wisdom to understand that even in a man making a decision, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the right decision all of the time. But the best thing to do, to learn how to do, is when the decision is wrong, even when it's wrong, is not to beat them up for making the wrong decision, but lending yourself to say, now what do we do now to make the difference? And that that's the problem I've witnessed, where I told you so becomes bigger than saying, how do we fix it together? You know what I mean? And that has been our method through our relationship. There have been some failures along the way. There have been some wrong decisions that have been made along the way. But I never once wanted him to feel that I was never on his team, even in a wrong decision.
Right. Team more all day long.
All day long.
So we said with this that sometimes you're both right.
Yeah.
And what we got that point from, I was actually reading an article about, we got all this gun stuff happening in Ohio, and the new bill that's about to be signed. If he didn't sign it already, I don't know. I didn't even follow it today, but. One person who I assume is anti-gun, and they were saying, our state passed this bill where, you don't need a background check for concealed carry or any of that stuff. And just as we expected, crime went up.
Oh, yeah.
So another guy in a different state, they passed the same bill, and the total opposite happened. They figured that it was going to reduce crime because, now, criminals know.
Everybody got
a gun.
Everybody can. Yeah.
And in their state, that's exactly what happened. Crime went down. So in both cases, we're talking about the same bill, and both people were right.
Yeah.
The question is, concerning your household, concerning your relationship, what's right for you? What's right for your house? What's right for your relationship?
Just because Susie and John did it, don't mean it's right for your house. And that's just the truth. And learning to be your authentic selves together will make a difference in how you view your perception and his perception or her perception and however you want to term, make it sound. But you got to know what works for your house.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
What's best for the house? What's best for us?
Yeah.
What's best
Yeah.
for our family?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, there have been moments, there have been moments in discussion where my perception weighed heavy and his weighed heavy too. And we really have to draw the line and say, well, you right and I'm right too. So what do we do with that?
Right.
What do we do?
And then she quickly comes to herself and realizes that I'm always right.
He always right, but so am I. See, that's the gridlock impasse in our life, is that we're both always right. So how do we move and keep our momentum without being in a gridlock? Is being willing to learn how to compromise with each other. At that given point. What is the compromise here? How do we make it work for us so that we...
And it's important for the other person who's not... Because, you said it. You've probably compromised more.
Oh, I tell every woman in the world, listen, honey, baby, get used to it, because you will be the one that does the majority of the compromising. When you understand the roles. And just because you compromise, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you a wise woman.
There you go.
It makes you a wise woman.
And to the other person, I would say, don't use that as a means to, belittle or to make yourself like you are always right. Like no. Somebody's going to have to compromise, and that person should do so gracefully, as well as the other person who didn't have to compromise. It should be done gracefully, because the important thing is building up the relationship.
So let's talk about that. The moment of building up. So you're building your relationship, right? And any man will tell you the worst thing is coming home to an angry woman every day.
Love you too, cuz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the worst thing you can do.
I don't like coming home to
every time you get up in the morning, she nasty. And you come home, she still nasty.
Disposition all messed up.
Disposition, hair still in the same position, got on the same bathrobe and leggings and stuff that you had on when they left. You ain't got yourself together, and it makes building difficult. When the attitude is always bad. It makes difficult for momentum to be gained. And so to be a wise woman who builds her house, you understand that the majority of the compromise will come from your level. Why? Because you want to make it and create an atmosphere where they love coming home, because they know even when they're wrong, they can still find peace and sanctity and safety with you.
All right. You talking good.
So I'm just saying what I'm saying, talking about what I'm talking about. It is so major for me that, and I'm not saying that I don't have difficult periods, because I do. You know what I mean? And the greatest thing about that, even in my difficult periods, I'm not shunned from coming to him and saying, I don't get it and I don't like it, or I don't understand. You know what I mean? It still provides me a safe place to be my authentic self. And that means being naked and not ashamed with my emotions and my hearts and my perceptions with him, so that we remain together in movement, in concerted efforts together.
Well,
we got to practice the dance steps daily so that we flow uniformly together every day we move. You got to do it like that. You got to make sure you flow. So it is important that when you come to this impasse, that you remember your first teammate is him or her.
Right.
You got to remember that when I don't want to go churchy, my God. But it's hard for me, y'all.
It's hard for her.
It's hard.
We're working on it.
I mean, it's hard hard. But the truth of the matter is, when he loves you like God loves the church, you understand that the church still wounds him, but he never removes himself from the church.
Right.
Now,
That's all the church people.
That was for all the church people.
Good,
so that's what love looks like. Even when you get to an impasse, I might hurt you, but don't remove yourself from me. Allow me to be willing to say I'm sorry and come back and receive me as your own.
Wow. That's good.
So
go ahead.
Getting through an impasse is important.
Getting through an impasse is important.
Give yourself time and space. Check you before you try to check them.
Realize that sometimes you're both right. But what's best for the family?
What is best for you and your family?
The third step or the third point is know what you're looking for. Know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Are you starting this argument just to be arguing? Are you starting this argument to gloat that you're right? Are you starting this argument to prove that I'm right? You wrong. I'm right. What is this about? What is this for? Know what you're looking for.
Yeah. This is a place where you can be willing to share both your fears at that point.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So knowing what you're looking for, because sometimes you come to the argument just so you can say, I told you so, or I was right all along. And so literally, hardly ever, I don't think we ever really talk about I told you so.
No.
Unless it's in a comedic
and you know
way.
why? You know why? Because it's not edifying to our relationship.
It's not.
It's not profitable for our relationship. It makes no sense.
That's just like hearing the teacher say, you're dumb and you're never going to get it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's why many people have so many negative moments of school, thinking of school, and then they come and they hear these same very words in their present relationship.
That child is just shut down.
That's traumatic. It produces a traumatic moment. So you know those little innuendos that you heard that were triggering or caused you to shut down, to feel belittled, and then you come and you say these exact same words in your present relationship. And the funny part is those feelings manifest again. They manifest again, and that's what trauma does to us. So if you've been a part of a traumatic relationship, that's those triggers that show up and, all of that. And so you got to know what you're looking for and be willing to say, I'm not here to satisfy, because this is not just about satisfying my needs. Man. Yeah. I want him to be satisfied too. You know what I mean? I want it to be satisfying too. So it causes for that truth to come forward, and that truth to be willing to share where your fears are, where your humility shows up at the transparency. And sometimes, man,
that was the last point, but really, that point goes back to the beginning where we talk about you have to have those tough conversations. You've got to have this meaningful dialogue before that wedding day, and now you're, a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, and things happen, because things are going to happen. And now you're exploding, and there's never been any rules of engagement laid out.
Man, you see, when you say stuff like that wakes me up. That rules of engagement, that type of thing, kind of just like sparks everything in me. Because the one thing about the enemy knows how he wants to engage, and his engagement ultimately ends in total destruction. And so when you walk into a situation or an impasse and you haven't solidified what your rules of engagement are, it takes on the mindset to destroy. So you got to develop rules. We're not here to destroy one another. We're here to edify and build up together. That is our mindset. Our motto is, you have to develop your own, but ours is He and I against the world together.
Against the world.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And so I got to understand that he's not my enemy, even when he makes me upset, or he doesn't agree with me, or it doesn't look like I want it to look or sound like I want. He is never my enemy.
Right.
Right? Because we are on the same team. We're working in concerted efforts together for a goal and a promise. And that's for us to have what we believe is happily ever after. You know what I mean? And so if we're going to have happily ever after, then we got to be willing to do the work for happily ever after. Right. And we understand that happily ever after doesn't mean that we don't have storms and struggles and disagreements.
But we got to prepare for those.
You got to prepare for those things. Absolutely. And so I'm not here looking just for myself to be satisfied. You know, we say this all the time, there is power in agreement. You know what I mean? And so when we are at an impasse and we can get to the point where we can agree, it makes us a force to be reckoned with. It makes us more of a threat to those things that are threatening to us. And so when you understand, and my kids, our kids can tell you that anytime there was a situation going on, they didn't know. They didn't know.
Right.
They never had a clue.
Some of the kids say, "Did y'all ever disagree about anything?" And it just wasn't for them to see that.
It wasn't for them to see
that. It wasn't
that.
their place, and so we never put them in that place.
Nope, they had to learn how to stay in a child's place, and it was mom and dad. It was my mind and his situation, whatever. But they never got a chance or heard us become disrespectful with one another or loud talking with one another or anything like that. And so to listen to their story is really comical now, because we'd be like, oh, y'all just don't know. Yeah, we go in the room and we'd be like, okay, now let me tell you how this gonna look out. All of those moments. But the fact of the matter is, we wanted them to see us in an authentic, true, loving relationship, and we had to learn how to live those things out loud. And that meant being transparent in everything. And we were transparent. We were transparent in our money and how we, handle things and whatever those things. We didn't let our fears with sharing our thoughts keep us from being true to one another. And again, like he says, his style is totally different from mine. It's like totally. Because I'd be like, I want him to be mad. And he'd be like, oh, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have that back like a duck to let the water run off. I didn't have that. But I learned how to adopt his styles in some portions of my life. Because I saw that it fared better for him than I was faring in my life. So getting through that impasse is being willing to recognize that if we want agreement, our agreement has to come together. Right? We learn to agree together, because then we become a force to be reckoned with.
God is not the author of confusion.
He's not, and neither am I. I don't like it. I can't stand it. I hate it.
We don't intend to be churchy on this. We just can't help it. We just can't help it. Yeah. It's who we are.
Yeah. So
I think we gave some nuggets there. You ready to talk about the marriage highlight?
Listen.
We did not have a marriage highlight last week. I was just so devastated, but we got one this week.
And if I could highlight, I would highlight him today, but it ain't his turn.
It ain't my turn. Today, our marriage highlight goes to Paul and Sally Bosley. Listen, I've known these two lovebirds for quite some time.
Before we were married,
actually. Wow. I met them when I was the gospel choir director for Regina High School. They're both retired educators. And I met Sally at Regina High School. And then sometime after that, I met her husband, Paul, at some Regina event, I'm sure. And they were always just beautiful, pleasant people. Whenever you see them together, they're smiling just like they're smiling in this picture. I spoke with Sally this evening, and she told me it was safe to say that after they'll be celebrating 50 years of marriage this year. And after 50 years, they're still in love. So we celebrate you, Paul and Sally Bosley. You are our marriage highlight on the More Marriage Moments. And what we're going to do is get you something real soon just to tell you we appreciate you and we celebrate you for being heroes in marriage.
Heroes in marriage. I like that.
All right.
Hey.
So we hope that we gave you some nuggets to think on. Please remember that if you want to nominate somebody for the More Marriage Highlight,
Highlight,
you can
yes.
send us an email or go on the Facebook and send us an inbox. We would love to feature, some people that that have been married. I'm talking about, let them have a couple years. Everything in this generation is quick, fast, and in a hurry. But let them have some longevity.
There's a question on the board that says, are we ordained to marry people? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are indeed.
We are. So...
we can marry you and bury you.
Yeah. I would prefer to marry. I would like burying folks. But hey, it comes with the territory.
Next week. We were supposed to do it this week, but something got switched around. You didn't even notice it, did you?
It's all right.
Next week, we're going to talk about the secret ingredients to a fulfilling marriage. Secret ingredients to a fulfilling marriage. We've got another awesome couple that's hopefully going to be able to join us for next week. Yeah. You gotta have some seasoning. To make the marriage last. Little flavor to make it work. You don't nobody want no bland flavor. Food. They don't want no bland marriage.
Don't have no bland marriage.
No.
That ain't
got to
fun.
have some spice. My.
Life and spice. A mess, my goodness.
All right. Hey, we thank you for joining us.
We hope that you learned 3 steps to getting through it. Impasse number 1. What? Give it 48 hours.
48 hours. That's number 1. I was you about to mess up.
I was about to.
48 hours. Give it 48 hours. That's number 1.
And sometimes, number 2,
sometimes you're both right.
right.
But what works for your house? Figure that out.
And step number 3, do you know what you're looking for?
You got to know what you're looking for. There's no sense in just going round and round in circles. You got to know what you're looking for.
Don't look just to be satisfied or to gloat. Look for agreement. I like that.
Look for agreement. That was good. Know what you're looking for. Look for agreement. Well, I think we did all right. Hey, do us a favor. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube page and then go over to Facebook. We've got a page there. It's titled after the show, The More Marriage Moments. Join that page and follow us on Facebook as well. We would love to hear from you. Send us a note, drop us a line, whatever, to let us know. And we've actually got some good feedback. Some people said they've been watching and they like the show. So tell your friends about us. We have not crossed that 100 subscribers yet on YouTube.
Let's get there.
Help us get to 100 between now and next week, okay? Tell 5 people. It's 5 people?
It's 5 people right now? It is.
Tell those 5 people to tell 5 people and help us get to 100 subscribers on YouTube.
If you have a topic that you would love to hear, go ahead and send us a message at the email. We'll check it out.
Here's the email again, just so you have it.
We'll put it up. So join us. And I hope that you are being encouraged and that your relationships are growing.
All right. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
But it's who I am. And so he had to learn how to say, this is how my wife thinks. And I had to learn how to say, this is how my husband thinks.
You got a friend in me.
I think that the fire in the relationship, in the marital relationship, has to consist of maintaining and never losing the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
You got a friend in me.
If you got stinky people, then you don't want to be around them.
You don't want to be around stinky people.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Because that's what you're going to smell.
Because
every
you
day.
what you're going to smell. And 9 times out of 10, if the attitude is bad, it's a stinky person.
Got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in